Don't let stress steal your life. Have you ever stopped to consider the weight that stress has in your life? It's like a silent thief, sneaking through the cracks of your mind, stealing your peace, draining your joy, and leaving behind a restless void. Sometimes it feels as if we're constantly at the mercy of circumstances, as if life were an unpredictable storm, and we were merely castaways trying to survive. But what if I told you there's a way to regain control? A philosophy that not only helps you face adversity, but also turns every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. I'm talking about Stoicism, an ancient wisdom that teaches a powerful truth. We can't control everything that happens around us, but we can control how we respond to it. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to live without being shaken by the setbacks of daily life. Without that constant weight on your shoulders, without the anxiety that steals your nights of sleep. Seems impossible, doesn't it? But that's precisely what Stoicism offers, a path to serenity, even in the midst of chaos. This philosophy isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming indifferent to life. On the contrary, it teaches us to embrace reality with courage, accepting what we cannot change and focusing on what is within our power. You don't need to be a sage to start. Just take one simple step, adopt a new way of seeing the world. So I ask you, are you ready to reclaim control of your mind and your life? This is the beginning of a journey that can transform the way you live, helping you find peace even in the most challenging moments. Now that we've begun to explore the transformative power of Stoicism, it's natural to wonder, but how does this work in practice? Who has actually lived this way? Well, Stoic philosophy isn't just theory. It has been tested and proven in the lives of great leaders who faced monumental challenges. One of the most inspiring examples comes from a man who, even while ruling an empire during turbulent times, found serenity and balance. I'm talking about Marcus Aurelius. 2. Lessons in Serenity from Marcus Aurelius. Imagine being the ruler of the Roman Empire at the height of its glory, responsible for millions of lives, facing wars, betrayals, and even pandemics. For many, this would sound like an unbearable burden, but for Marcus Aurelius, every obstacle was an opportunity to practice Stoic virtues. How did he manage to stay calm amid so many adversities? He constantly reflected on the transience of life. In his personal journal, which later became the book Meditations, Marcus left us a legacy of practical wisdom. He wrote to himself, reminding that everything, from power to pain, is fleeting. Just as the waves of a storm eventually calm, the challenges we face today will also pass. The universe is change, life is opinion, he wrote. These words remind us that the only constant is change and that our power lies in how we choose to face this reality. Marcus saw difficult moments as a kind of training for the soul, an opportunity to exercise patience, courage, and wisdom. And what greater victory could there be than conquering oneself, maintaining a tranquil mind amidst chaos? Now think about your own life. What storms are you facing? And what if, like Marcus Aurelius, you began to see them not as enemies, but as teachers? Every challenge can be an invitation to grow, to strengthen your character, and to find peace where there was once anxiety. After all, just as the sea always calms, you too can find serenity by accepting what lies beyond your control. We've talked about Marcus Aurelius and how he managed immense challenges, but now let's bring that wisdom into our own reality. After all, not all of us are emperors facing wars and political crises, but we all have internal battles. And perhaps the most common of these is against an enemy that many struggle to identify clearly: stress. 3. The silent enemy: causes and impacts of stress. Have you ever felt like something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on what? It's that constant restlessness, like an invisible weight always present, making even the simplest tasks feel overwhelming. That's stress, An enemy working in the shadows, draining your energy, your health, and even your joy for life. Where does it come from? Well, the sources can be anywhere. Maybe it's work, with tight deadlines and endless demands. Or perhaps it's a personal conflict, an argument with someone important, an issue at home that seems unsolvable. It could also be the accumulation of responsibilities, bills to pay, appointments piling up, and that perpetual feeling of racing against the clock. But what does stress actually do to us? Here's the real problem. It doesn't just affect your mind, it impacts your entire body. It starts slowly, robbing you of sleep. You lie down, but your mind won't shut off. Worries loop endlessly, like a movie on repeat. Without proper rest, what happens? The next day you're exhausted, more irritable, less productive. And that's only the beginning. Over time, chronic stress can overload your heart, raise your blood pressure, and pave the way for serious issues like cardiovascular diseases. It also weakens your immune system, making you more prone to illnesses. And if that weren't enough, it directly affects your mood, contributing to anxiety and depression. Sounds frightening, doesn't it? And it is. But here's the most important point. Stress may feel invincible, but it isn't. As we saw with Marcus Aurelius, it's possible to change how we relate to the situations that affect us. The key lies in learning to recognize stress, and more importantly, acting before it takes control of us. Now that we understand how stress can infiltrate and impact our health in multiple ways, an essential question arises: how can we detect its presence before it's too late? Because let's face it, stress rarely announces itself in obvious ways. It's subtle, often disguising itself as fatigue, irritability, or even physical pain. That's precisely why we need to learn to recognize the warning signs. 4. The warning signs. Stress doesn't show up with a clear message saying, "Hey, I'm here." It hides, and it's easy to mistake it for fleeting emotions or even unexplained physical symptoms. But if we pay attention, we can spot the early signs and act before it becomes a serious problem. Let's start with the basics. What do you feel when you're overwhelmed? One of the earliest signs can be insomnia. You head to bed exhausted, but your mind won't stop racing. It's like it's stuck in overthinking mode, preventing you from switching off and resting. Without proper sleep, your body starts to suffer. You wake up tired, lacking the energy to tackle the day. Another common sign is unexplained physical pain. Maybe it's that persistent headache or tension in your shoulders that just won't go away, no matter how much you try to relax. Stress often manifests physically, even when we're unaware of how mentally overwhelmed we are. Then there are changes in your emotional state. You feel more irritable than usual, snapping at small things. Or maybe you're constantly anxious, as if something bad is about to happen, even when everything seems under control. So how do you act when these signs appear? The first step is not to ignore them. Recognizing that something is off balance is already half the battle. Then you can start implementing small changes, such as establishing a healthy sleep routine, disconnect from screens before bed, and set a consistent bedtime. Practicing relaxation techniques like deep breathing or guided meditation to help calm your mind. Taking breaks during the day. Sometimes all your body and mind need is a moment to slow down and reconnect. These small actions can prevent stress from becoming a debilitating enemy. Remember, the earlier you recognize the signs, the easier it will be to take back control. Now that you've learned to recognize the early signs of stress, you might be thinking, okay, I've identified the symptoms, but why, even though I'm aware of them, do I still feel stuck in this state? The answer lies in a phenomenon we've all experienced at some point: the vicious cycle of stress. 5. The vicious cycle of stress. Stress has a dangerous ability. It feeds on itself. Think of it as a wheel that starts spinning with a single negative thought. Maybe you're worried about a deadline, and that initial thought triggers anxiety. Anxiety, in turn, leads to restless nights, leaving you exhausted the next day. That fatigue affects your mood and productivity, creating even more worries. And so the cycle continues, spinning faster and becoming harder to break. But why does this happen? When under stress, our brain tends to fixate on the negative. It's like it's constantly in alert mode, scanning for problems and dangers, even when they don't exist. This heightened state of vigilance creates a spiral of negative thoughts that, if left unchecked, can consume us. How to break the cycle? Here's the good news: you can stop this wheel. One of the most powerful tools to do so is the practice of gratitude. It may sound simple, but taking a moment each day to acknowledge the good things, no matter how small, can completely shift your perspective. Gratitude redirects your focus from what's wrong to what's working in your life, disrupting the flow of negative thoughts. Another effective strategy is to lean once again on Stoicism. This philosophy teaches us to challenge our automatic thoughts and distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. For instance, instead of spiraling into worry about the future, ask yourself, what can I do right now to improve this situation? If the answer is nothing, practice acceptance. If there's something you can do, approach it with calm and clarity. Remember, the goal here isn't to eliminate stress entirely, but to transform it into an opportunity for growth and learning. Every time you interrupt this vicious cycle, you're strengthening your mind and becoming more resilient. Now it's your turn. Why not start applying these practices today? Now that we've explored how stress feeds on negative thoughts, let's tackle one of the most common triggers of this cycle: the feeling that we never have enough time. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "If only I had more hours in the day"? This is the trap many of us fall into, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack next. 6. The time trap. In our fast-paced world, the lack of time seems to be a constant. Everything needs to be done yesterday. This race against the clock is one of the biggest sources of modern stress. But do we truly not have enough time, or are we being pulled along by poorly defined priorities? Here's the truth: time doesn't control us. We decide how to use it. The problem begins when we try to do everything at once, take on more commitments than we can handle, and feel guilty for every wasted minute. The result? A constant state of anxiety and frustration, as if we're perpetually late for life. How to escape the time trap? The solution starts with simplification. Here are some practical strategies. Simplify your tasks. Not everything needs to be done perfectly or in the most complicated way. Ask yourself, what is truly essential? Prioritize what has the most impact and delegate or eliminate the rest. Set boundaries. Learning to say no is liberating. Accepting fewer commitments isn't a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. Set clear boundaries between your work time and personal time. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us slow down and be present in the moment. Often, the feeling of not having enough time doesn't come from the number of tasks, but from our minds always jumping to the next thing. Try pausing for a few minutes during the day to focus on your breathing or simply observe your surroundings. These practices won't add more hours to your day, but they can help you reclaim something even more valuable: the sense of control over your own life. Remember, time is limited, but how you use it makes all the difference. Now that we've learned how to escape the trap of time and regain control of our day, it's time to take it a step further. Because even with a more organized calendar and simplified tasks, true peace doesn't depend solely on what we do, but on how we feel inside. And that's where the pursuit of inner peace comes in. Inner peace is something we all seek, but we don't always know how to achieve it. Amid the hustle, stress, and daily worries, we often feel disconnected from ourselves. But here's the good news. Finding that tranquility doesn't require a spiritual retreat or drastic changes. With small daily practices, you can create a sense of serenity within yourself, even in the midst of chaos. One of the most powerful tools for this is meditation. Many people have the misconception that meditating is complicated or reserved for monks on distant mountains. In reality, it's simple and accessible. You don't need hours or a perfect setting. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. When thoughts arise, and they will, just observe them and gently bring your focus back to your breath. Over time, you'll notice that in this small interval, your mind finds a pause, as if all the external noise fades away. Another effective method is conscious breathing. Have you noticed how in moments of stress, your breathing becomes short and rapid? This is a natural bodily response, but you can use your breath to reverse this state. Try the following. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for another 4 seconds, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat this a few times and observe how your body starts to relax. This simple exercise can be done anywhere, at work, at home, or even in traffic. Additionally, there's the transformative power of mindfulness. This practice teaches us to be fully present in the moment. It seems simple, but think about it. How often do you truly pay attention to what you're doing? When we immerse ourselves in the present, without reliving the past or anticipating the future, our mind finds rest. You can practice this during simple activities like drinking coffee or walking. Instead of going through the motions, pay attention to the details, the aroma of the coffee, the sound of your footsteps, the wind on your face. Small moments of mindfulness, when added up, bring a profound sense of calm. The beauty of these practices is that they don't require drastic changes. You don't need more time in your day, just more intention. A small adjustment here and there, a few minutes dedicated to yourself, and you'll soon start to notice the effects. Inner peace isn't a distant destination. It lies in the small decisions you make daily, so why not start now? Dedicate a moment of your day to one of these practices and see the difference it can make. After all, every step, no matter how small, is a step toward the serenity you deserve. Practicing inner peace helps us find moments of calm amid chaos, but there's something else we need to confront: the illusion of control. Because no matter how much serenity we cultivate, we often cling to the idea that we can or should control everything around us. This need only adds to the weight we carry. This is where an essential lesson comes in: the art of letting go. 8. The art of letting go. We live in a world where control seems to be everything. We want to plan, predict, and ensure that everything goes exactly as we envision. But if there's one thing life constantly teaches us, it's that we can't control everything. Trying to do so leads to frustration, anxiety, and of course more stress. Think about the situations that drain you the most. How many of them involve things beyond your control? Maybe it's someone else's behavior, the outcome of a decision that doesn't solely depend on you, or even unexpected events that just happen. We get stuck, ruminating over what could have been different, wasting precious energy that could be directed towards something more productive. Here is where a fundamental Stoic practice comes into play, distinguishing between what is within your control and what is not. Make a simple list. On one side, write down what you can control: your actions, your words, your choices. On the other, jot down what is beyond your reach: the weather, other people's opinions, the past. This practice, as simple as it may seem, is transformative. It helps you refocus on what truly matters, easing the pressure of wanting to control everything. Additionally, one of the most effective ways to lighten this burden is through the practice of gratitude. When you focus on what you already have, on what is working, you begin to realize that not everything needs to be under your control for you to feel okay. Try ending your day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. They can be small, like the taste of coffee or a pleasant conversation. The key is that by recognizing what you have, you reduce anxiety about what's beyond your reach. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means freeing yourself from unnecessary burdens so you can focus on what truly matters. The next time something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, can I really control this? If the answer is no, practice the art of letting go and trust that by doing so, you're making room for more peace and balance in your life. We've learned that letting go of what we can't control brings lightness to our minds. But there's another fundamental aspect we can't overlook. The state of our mind is deeply connected to the state of our body. Taking care of one inevitably means taking care of the other. Now, let's explore how this connection can transform the way we handle stress and life in general. 9. The mind-body connection. Have you ever noticed how a physically exhausting day can affect your mood? Or how a poor night's sleep can make everything seem harder the next day? That's no coincidence. The body and mind are in constant dialogue, and their balance is crucial for well-being. When we care for our bodies, we're actually giving a gift to our minds. Physical exercise, for example, isn't just good for your muscles and heart. It also releases endorphins, known as the happiness hormones. Even a brisk walk can relieve tension and clear your thoughts. Another important pillar is healthy eating. What you consume directly impacts your energy, mood, and even your ability to cope with stress. Nutrient-rich foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins provide your body with the fuel it needs to function well. On the other hand, an unbalanced diet can increase feelings of fatigue and anxiety. And then there's one of mental health's greatest allies: proper sleep. During sleep, your body regenerates, and your mind processes the emotions and events of the day. Sleeping well isn't a luxury, it's a basic necessity. Without adequate rest, your nervous system becomes overloaded, making you more susceptible to stress and negative emotions. The key here is simple. A well-cared-for body strengthens the mind. When you exercise, eat well, and get enough rest, you create a solid foundation to face life's challenges with greater resilience and clarity. Remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's a way to ensure you're ready to tackle any situation with a calm mind and a strong body. After all, a healthy body is the foundation for a peaceful mind. Taking care of your body strengthens your mind. But to achieve true balance, there's one more essential piece to the puzzle: having clarity about what truly matters in your life. Because in the end, what's the point of having energy and focus if you're not channeling it towards something meaningful? Now, let's talk about how setting priorities and purpose can transform the way you live each day. 10. Setting priorities and purpose. Have you ever felt like you're busy all the time, but deep down, it seems like you're not making progress? Like running on a treadmill, always tired but not getting anywhere? This happens when our daily actions aren't aligned with our values and purpose. Setting priorities is the first step to breaking out of this cycle. And I'm not just talking about a simple to-do list. It's more than that. It's about understanding what truly deserves your attention and energy. For this, a powerful tool is the priority list. But instead of filling this list with everything you think you need to do, try categorizing it based on what's directly connected to your values. Ask yourself, does this contribute to what I really want in life? If the answer is no, it might be time to reconsider whether that task deserves your time. Because in the end, it's not about doing more, it's about doing better, focusing on what has a real and positive impact. Now let's talk about purpose. Having a clear purpose is like having a compass. It guides your decisions, helps you say no to what doesn't matter, and gives meaning even to the simplest tasks. But how do you discover your purpose? One way is to reflect on these questions. What do I deeply value? What brings me joy and satisfaction? And how can I use that to contribute to the world around me? When you align your daily actions with your purpose, every day becomes more meaningful. It doesn't matter whether the task seems small or big. What matters is that it brings you closer to what truly counts. Remember, you don't need to do everything. You only need to do what makes sense. And by setting priorities based on your values, you not only simplify your life, but also ensure you're moving in the right direction, the direction of what truly brings fulfillment and purpose. Defining priorities and aligning your actions with your purpose brings clarity and focus to your life. But there's another element with a profound impact on your well-being: the people you choose to surround yourself with. Our relationships can be sources of joy and support, but if poorly managed, they can also become significant stressors. Let's dive into how to build and maintain healthy relationships. 11. Healthy relationships. Have you noticed how some interactions leave you feeling lighter and energized, while others seem to drain all your energy? That's no coincidence. The people you connect with play a powerful role in your mental and emotional health. To cultivate relationships that truly add value to your life, the first step is learning to set healthy boundaries. This doesn't mean cutting ties or emotionally distancing yourself, but rather protecting your personal space. Often, we feel obligated to meet everyone's demands, prioritizing their needs over our own. But the truth is, without boundaries, you risk overextending yourself and burning out. Be clear about what you can offer and how far you're willing to go, and communicate this with empathy and firmness. Speaking of empathy, it's the foundation of any healthy relationship. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes not only strengthens bonds, but also reduces stress caused by conflicts. Often, a simple gesture of understanding can turn a tense situation into an opportunity for genuine connection. On the other hand, it's crucial to recognize and avoid toxic relationships. People who constantly criticize, manipulate, or drain your energy can significantly increase your stress levels. If you identify these dynamics, consider limiting contact or, if possible, distancing yourself completely. Your mental health should always be a priority. Healthy relationships are a two-way street. They provide support, but also require effort. By surrounding yourself with people who uplift you and setting clear boundaries, you create a more harmonious and balanced environment, a space where both you and others can grow together. Ultimately, remember that you deserve relationships that bring more peace than problems. Build connections that inspire, motivate, and most importantly, respect who you are. 12. Living with serenity. Serenity isn't about perfection or the absence of problems. It's about staying calm and centered, even when life feels chaotic. It's knowing that no matter what's happening around you, you can find refuge within yourself. For many, serenity may seem unattainable, but in reality, it's the result of small shifts in how we view and react to the world. And it all begins with a change in perspective. Stoic philosophy teaches us that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but the way we interpret them. When we learn to accept what's beyond our control and focus on what we can change, we take a significant step toward inner peace. Remember the words of Epictetus: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But serenity isn't just a mindset. It's built through daily habits. Practices like meditation, gratitude, and mindfulness help train your mind to find calm amid chaos. And by aligning your actions with your values and purpose, you create a life that resonates with your true self. True serenity is living with the confidence that, even in tough times, you're equipped to handle whatever comes your way. It's a journey, not a destination, and every step counts. We'll close with this invitation. Embrace serenity as a daily practice. Use Stoicism as your compass, the tools discussed here as your map, and trust that over time you'll find the calm you seek. Because yes, it is possible to live with serenity, and you're on the right path to achieving it.